You didn't stumble here by accident. The shift began the moment you pressed play, and perhaps even long before that. What if I told you that the very act of being here is not coincidence, but evidence? Proof that your reality has already begun to change. Something inside you aligned, without words, without logic, to bring you to this exact moment. Every great transformation begins before you notice it. The seed sprouts beneath the soil, hidden and unseen. The dawn begins its rise long before light touches the sky. And the quantum shift within you has been whispering, waiting, shaping your path in silence. You are not just listening to this message. You are this message. In quantum physics, there is a truth that changes everything. Observation collapses possibility into form. This is the observer effect. The experiment that revealed reality behaves differently when you watch it. Light, energy, particles. They wait for you. They remain in waves of potential until your awareness says, now, collapse, become. And so it is with you. Your very act of noticing that life feels different, heavier, stranger, or more synchronistic is itself the shift. You collapse the field by becoming aware of it. Have you noticed? The subtle cracks in the old world, the way patterns no longer fit, the way coincidences seem louder, sharper, too perfectly timed to ignore. This is not random. It is resonance. Imagine two people walking through the same storm. One curses the rain, feels trapped, angry, unlucky. The other lifts their face to the sky, breathes deeply, and whispers gratitude for the water falling from the heavens. Same storm, two realities, two frequencies, and this is the paradox. The storm didn't change. You did. In that shift, the entire meaning of reality rearranged. This is what's happening within you. The storm of your old patterns is still there, but you no longer carry them the same way. Something inside you is lighter, freer, more aware. That awareness is proof. That awareness is the shift. You might feel it as restlessness, or the quiet sense that something greater is calling you. You might feel it in your body, the nervous system buzzing with energy you can't name. You might feel it in dreams, synchronicities, or in the way your heart aches when you remember the life you know you're meant to live. But here's the truth. If you can feel it, you're already in it. Awakening is not a future event. It is happening now. The shift is not something you wait for. It is something you realize you're already living. So breathe. You don't need to chase the new frequency. You are inside it right now, listening to the words that confirm what your soul already knew. This is the whisper of the shift. And the whisper is not asking you to do more. It is inviting you to notice more. Notice how alive you are. Notice how every particle around you is listening, waiting, vibrating in harmony with your awareness. Because the shift is not coming. It has already begun, and you are the proof. The first sign of change is not always beauty. Often it begins with breaking. Cracks appear, and what once felt solid begins to crumble. The routines you once trusted suddenly feel hollow. The roles you played no longer fit. The conversations that once entertained you now echo with emptiness. You think something is wrong. But what if this collapse is the proof that something is finally right? In the quantum field, every pattern holds itself in place until energy changes. When frequency shifts, form follows. And when your vibration rises, the structures of your old identity cannot contain you anymore. This is why the arguments that never used to bother you now sting your spirit. This is why the job that once felt safe now feels suffocating. This is why the friendships you've always known now feel like faded echoes of who you used to be. The cracks are not signs of failure. They are signs of release. Think of glass struck by sound. A single note at the right frequency can shatter the strongest surface. That is what's happening inside you. The frequency of who you are becoming is striking against the glass of who you once were, and the sound is too powerful to ignore. You hear it in your restlessness, in your sudden exhaustion, in your strange longing for something you cannot yet name. It feels uncomfortable, even disorienting, but this is the music of transformation. Have you noticed the synchronicities, the numbers that repeat, the stranger's words that feel like they were meant for you, the random thought that leads you to the exact answer you were seeking? These are not accidents. They are fractures in the old timeline, windows into the new. The universe is weaving signs into your path, gentle nudges reminding you that your awareness is expanding, that your reality is already rearranging itself around your higher frequency. And yet, sometimes the cracks show up as frustration. The car breaks down, the relationship grows tense, the plan falls apart. It feels like punishment, but it isn't. Reality is not punishing you. It is mirroring you. Each breakdown is a reflection of the identity you are outgrowing. It is not rejection, it is direction. It is the field saying, "This is not who you are anymore." Let it fall. Let it break. You are being reshaped. Consider this. Two people can face the same disruption. One clings to the broken pieces, crying over what has ended. The other sees the same collapse as space for something new to arrive. The event did not change. The meaning did. This is the choice you are being offered in every crack, to grieve the end of the old, or to celebrate the beginning of the new. So when you see the cracks, don't run from them. Don't patch them up with fear. Don't pretend you are still the same. Instead, notice them with reverence. These are the symptoms of awakening. They are the proof that you are no longer trapped in loops that once defined you. The walls are falling because you are finally ready to walk free, and as you step through the ruins of what no longer holds you, you discover the truth. Breaking is not the end. Breaking is the beginning. You were never just watching. You were always creating. In the world of quantum physics, there is a simple but staggering truth. Matter does not exist in a fixed state until it is observed. In the famous double-slit experiment, particles behaved like waves, holding infinite possibilities, until someone looked. And the very act of observation collapsed those endless potentials into a single outcome. What does that mean? It means you are not a passive witness in this universe. You are the deciding factor, the one who turns energy into reality. Think about that for a moment. Every time you notice something, you give it weight. Every time you focus on it, you breathe it into form. Your awareness is not empty. It is the paintbrush that paints the world. You are the observer, yes, but more than that, you are the awakener of matter itself. Here's the shift most people never see. You are not reacting to reality. Reality is reacting to you. The frustration you feed with your attention grows larger. The joy you allow expands in your field. The fear you dwell upon becomes a shape that meets you in the physical. And the dream you dare to hold, even in silence, gathers energy until it finds a doorway into your life. Imagine two people sitting in the same cafe. One is scrolling through the news, eyes fixed on tragedy, feeding their nervous system with stories of fear. The other is quietly journaling about their vision, writing words of gratitude for the life they are already stepping into. Both are in the same room, in the same moment, but their futures are not the same. Why? Because attention is creation. One collapses possibility into despair, the other into expansion. The cafe didn't choose for them. Their observation did. And so, you must ask yourself, what are you watching? Not just with your eyes, but with your focus, with your emotions, with the story you tell yourself when no one else is around. Because the universe is listening. Because consciousness is collapsing waves into particles, and your inner gaze is the signal. This is why awareness is the first key of transformation. You cannot change what you refuse to see, but the moment you become aware, you alter the field. Neuroscience has proven it. When you observe your thoughts, instead of being consumed by them, the brain begins to rewire itself. Old patterns weaken. New neural pathways strengthen. Your biology reshapes itself around your focus. Joe Dispenza calls it becoming the quantum observer of your own mind. The moment you watch, the moment you notice, you change. So here is your invitation. Stop calling yourself powerless. Stop calling yourself unlucky. You are not a victim of what you see. You are the seer shaping what arrives. And when you awaken to that role, something radical happens. Reality bends. Possibility opens. Life starts to mirror your gaze instead of chaining you to old scripts. The observer has always been awake within you, but now you are beginning to recognize it, to feel it, to claim it. And as you do, you step into the truth that changes everything. The world does not simply happen to you. The world happens through you. Everything you feel is a signal. Every emotion is a frequency. And every frequency is a doorway. You've been taught to think of emotions as fleeting moods, small inner storms that rise and pass away. But what if I told you that every emotion is more than a personal experience? It is a broadcast, a vibration that ripples into the field around you, calling reality to respond in kind. Quantum physics reminds us that all matter is energy vibrating at different frequencies. Your body, your thoughts, your heart, they are not static. They are oscillating fields, and so are your emotions. Joy vibrates differently than fear. Gratitude hums at a frequency far beyond anger. Neutrality has its own subtle signature. And just like tuning a radio, whatever frequency you emit determines the station of reality you hear. Think of two people walking into the same room. One carries resentment, heavy and sharp. The other carries lightness, warmth, a smile that arrives before words. The room itself is the same, but the experience is not. Why? Because each one tunes into a different version of reality through their frequency. They collapse different possibilities, not because of what's outside, but because of what's resonating within. Here's the truth. Reality doesn't respond to the mask you wear. It doesn't respond to the affirmations you whisper while secretly vibrating fear. It responds to the frequency you hold, the one beneath the surface, the one pulsing through your nervous system. That is the language reality speaks. Not English, not Spanish, not words at all. Frequency. Neuroscience confirms this too. Elevated emotions like gratitude, joy, love, release chemicals in the body that strengthen your immune system, expand your creativity, and rewire your brain for resilience. Stress and fear do the opposite. They shrink your vision, narrow your options, and blind you to synchronicities. It is not punishment, it is resonance. Your body and the universe are simply speaking the same language. So the question becomes, how do you shift your frequency? It begins with awareness. Notice the emotion, name it, feel it without judgment, and then choose again. Sometimes it's as simple as taking 3 slow breaths. Sometimes it's putting on a song that lifts you. Sometimes it's stepping outside and letting the sunlight remind your cells of another rhythm. Small acts shift big frequencies. Think of a day when you woke up tired, irritated, ready to see problems everywhere, and maybe you did. The traffic seemed worse, people seemed ruder, time felt heavier. But remember also a day when you woke up grateful, even for one small thing. The same world looked different. Doors opened, help appeared, possibilities unfolded with less resistance. That is the power of frequency. The external world did not change. You did. And when you shift your frequency, reality rearranges to meet you where you are. So ask yourself, what station are you tuned to? Because your life will always echo the song you carry inside. You think you are making choices, but often the choices are already made by the patterns that live beneath you. Every day, you wake up in the same body, in the same mind, in the same loops of thought and feeling, and without realizing it, you repeat the past. The science of the subconscious tells us this clearly. Up to 95% of your life is run by unconscious programming. That means only a sliver of you is truly choosing. The rest is the echo of yesterday. It is like gravity. These patterns pull you back over and over again to the same situations, the same arguments, the same frustrations. Not because life is punishing you, but because the identity you hold, the story you silently believe about yourself, keeps generating the same frequency, the same reality. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Think of someone who always ends up in the same kind of relationship, even with different people. On the surface, they believe they're choosing something new. But underneath, the old program is still running. I am not worthy. I must prove myself. Love equals struggle. And so reality mirrors back the loop, not as cruelty, but as reflection. Quantum science gives us the metaphor too. When an electron is left unobserved, it falls into predictable patterns, orbiting the same way, repeating the same paths. But when observed, when consciousness intervenes, it can jump. It can shift levels. It can break the loop. Awareness is what collapses possibility into something new. Here's the truth. Nothing changes until you interrupt the pattern, until you catch yourself in the loop and say, "Not this time." That single moment of awareness, when you pause before reacting, when you breathe instead of repeating, is the crack where light enters. It is the opening that breaks gravity. Neuroscience confirms this too. When you fire and wire the same neural pathways, the brain conserves energy by automating them. That is why habits feel so strong, so gravitational. But the moment you consciously do something different, take a new route, change your language, feel gratitude instead of resentment, you signal to the brain, we are no longer living in the past. We are creating something new. Think of it like orbit. For years, maybe decades, you've been circling the same planet of identity. I am this kind of person. This is just how life is. But the truth is, orbits can be broken. Rockets escape. Gravity not by one massive leap, but by consistent thrust, moment after moment, until momentum carries them free. Your awareness, your choices, your new frequencies, these are your thrust. So ask yourself, where are you still circling? Where? Do you already know the outcome before it even begins? That is the loop. And it is not your destiny. Because the moment you choose differently, when you interrupt the argument, when you respond with love instead of fear, when you step into the unknown instead of the familiar, you break the gravitational pull and, in that moment, the universe itself shifts. You are no longer bound by the past. You are free to write a new orbit. You do not see the world as it is. You see the world as you are. Every moment of your life is a mirror, reflecting back the silent identity you carry. If you believe you are unworthy, reality bends to confirm it. If you believe you are chosen, life reflects opportunities that reveal it. The mirror does not judge, it only reflects. And until you change the I am at the core of your being, the reflections remain fractured, repeating versions of the same story. Think of a broken mirror. One shard reflects beauty, another reflects pain, another reflects fear. You keep searching for the whole picture, but the fragments confuse you. This is what happens when your identity is split, when part of you knows you are infinite, but another part clings to the old narrative, I am not enough. I am limited. I am my past. The reflection then becomes inconsistent, unstable, distorted. Quantum physics reveals a secret here. The observer effect shows us that consciousness itself shapes reality. But what is the lens through which consciousness observes? It is identity. The I am you declare with your energy becomes the filter through which potential collapses into form. Identity is the hidden script, and reality is the stage that plays it out. Consider two people walking into the same room. One silently carries the identity of confidence. I am magnetic. I am worthy of connection. The other carries the identity of invisibility. I am overlooked. I am not interesting. Both enter the same room, but their experiences diverge completely. One attracts conversation, laughter, resonance. The other feels ignored, unseen, unwanted. The room did not change. The mirror of identity did. Here's the truth. The most powerful shift you can ever make is not changing what you do, but changing who you believe you are. When you say, I am abundance, reality begins to show you evidence of abundance. When you say, I am love, you start to experience reflections of love everywhere. And when you cling to the fractured mirrors of your past, I am broken, I am cursed, I am stuck, life simply hands you more shards. Neuroscience echoes this wisdom. Your brain wires itself around identity. If you identify as someone who struggles, your subconscious filters and biases ensure you find proof of struggle. If you shift identity, consciously, repeatedly, the brain rewires to match it. Joe Dispenza calls this the breaking of the habit of being yourself, to move beyond the old self-image into the one you are choosing. The invitation, then, is simple yet radical. Stop trying to fix the mirror. Stop rearranging the shards. Instead, shift the I am that looks into it. The mirror does not need repair. It needs a new witness. So ask yourself, who are you choosing to be? Not who were you yesterday, not who they told you to be. Who are you now? Because the moment you shift your identity, the mirror reforms. The fractured glass dissolves, and for the first time, you see yourself whole. And as you do, reality, your reality, reshapes itself to match. You have never been separate. You only believed you were. Every breath you take, every choice you make, ripples outward into an unseen web of connection. Quantum physics calls it entanglement. Two particles, once connected, remain linked no matter the distance. Change the state of one, and the other instantly responds, even if they are galaxies apart. What does this reveal? That separation is an illusion, and at the deepest level of reality, you are woven into everything. You are not a lone observer, floating in an indifferent universe. You are entangled, threads of consciousness tied to people, places, and possibilities. This is why a thought of someone can trigger their unexpected message. Why a decision you make in silence can ripple into synchronicities that seem too perfect to be random. The universe is not speaking to you, it is speaking with you because you are part of its language. Imagine this. Two people wake up in the same city. One walks through the day convinced they are isolated, unseen, unsupported. They miss the subtle signs, dismiss coincidences, and feel heavy under the weight of their loneliness. The other walks with a different awareness. I am part of something greater. I am connected. Suddenly, a stranger's smile feels like a message. A conversation overheard contains the very answer they needed. A sequence of numbers on a clock feels like a wink from the infinite. Nothing has changed in the external world, only the awareness of entanglement. Here's the truth. Synchronicity is not luck. It is resonance. When your inner frequency aligns with your intentions, the field responds with patterns that guide you. Carl Jung called them meaningful coincidences, but quantum science gives us a deeper understanding. Consciousness is not isolated. Your choices collapse reality, not only for you, but ripple across the fabric of the collective. Joe Dispenza describes this as tuning into the field. When you raise your emotional state, when you feel gratitude, love, possibility, you begin broadcasting a signal into the quantum web. And the web responds, not just through your own reality, but through others connected to you. The smile of a stranger, the unexpected opportunity, the chance meeting, all are echoes of your entangled state. But you may ask, if I am so deeply connected, why do I feel alone? The answer is simple. Disconnection is not real, but it is experienced. When your awareness collapses into fear, shame, or separation. The mirror of identity, fractured by belief, convinces you that you are cut off. But when you remember entanglement, when you choose to see yourself as part of the whole, the illusion breaks. The invitation is not to chase signs, but to embody the truth. You are never walking alone. Every thought, every feeling, every I am reverberates beyond your skin, touching lives you may never meet. And every synchronicity that finds you is not coincidence. It is confirmation. So the next time life whispers in patterns, when a song answers your unspoken question, when a feather falls at your feet, when the right person appears at the right moment, pause, feel it, know it. This is the quantum field reminding you, you are not separate, you are not abandoned, you are entangled, you are seen, you are part of the whole. And once you know this, truly know it, loneliness dissolves. What replaces it is trust. Trust in a universe that is not random, but deeply, beautifully interconnected with you. Every choice you make bends reality. Every decision you take is not small, but seismic. You may think your life is a single straight line, fated to unfold in one direction. But in truth, existence is more like a river delta. Countless streams branching, flowing, weaving into infinite possibilities. Each moment, each thought, each action places you upon a particular current. And here's the paradox. You are not just floating. You are holding the paddle. Quantum physics hints at this truth in the double slit experiment. Until observed, a particle exists as a wave of probabilities. Only when consciousness looks does the wave collapse into form. You are, the observer, collapsing potential into the tangible. What you choose to see, to believe, to act upon, is what crystallizes. Timelines are not chosen for you. They are chosen through you. But here's the challenge. Most people drift unconsciously. They repeat familiar thoughts, recycle old emotions, and steer themselves back into the same current again and again. It feels like fate, like destiny. But it is only repetition, a gravitational pull of identity and habit. Imagine two people facing the same opportunity. One, rooted in fear, thinks, "It will never work out for me. I've failed before." Their choice, made in alignment with fear, steers them into a timeline where rejection proves them right. The other, carrying faith, whispers, "This time, I choose differently. I am open." Their decision, aligned with trust, steers them into a timeline where doors open with ease. The external opportunity was the same. The chosen timeline was not. Joe Dispenza often says, "Your personality creates your personal reality." The self you identify as, the emotions you dwell in, the beliefs you repeat, determine which current you step into. When you shift your state of being, when you align your emotions with the reality you desire, you shift rivers. You collapse one wave of possibility into another. So what does this mean for you? It means that limitation is an illusion. The voice that says, "It's too late, it's too fixed, nothing can change," is the echo of an old timeline trying to keep you bound. But right here, right now, in this very breath, new rivers await. Choice is the oar in your hands. Awareness is the map. Emotion is the current. You do not need to know every detail of where the river leads. You only need to align your inner state with the direction you choose. Gratitude, trust, joy. These are not just feelings. They are frequencies that magnetize you toward timelines of abundance. Fear, shame, doubt, these are not punishments but signals reminding you that you've picked up the wrong paddle. So ask yourself, what am I choosing right now? Not tomorrow, not next year, now. Because every now is a fork in the river. Every thought, every breath, every choice is steering you. Here is the freedom. You are not trapped. You were never trapped. The river is vast, and you are free to change currents as soon as you remember who is holding the paddle. And when you choose, consciously, deliberately, from love rather than fear, you awaken to the truth. Destiny is not written, it is steered. Time is an illusion you've been taught to worship. Past and future, ghosts you chase and chains you carry. But the truth is startling. Nothing has ever existed outside of now. Think of the double slit experiment. A particle remains a wave of possibilities until observed. The instant of observation collapses it into form. That instant is not yesterday, not tomorrow. It is always now. Your life, your reality, your creation all emerge from this one eternal point, the moment of collapse. Yet here's the paradox. Most of your energy is spent outside the present. You replay past mistakes like a broken film reel, believing they still hold power. You project worries into the future, thinking you must prepare for a storm that hasn't yet formed. And all the while, the real magic, the only true power, waits in the now, untouched. Consider this. Two people walk into a meeting. One enters heavy with memory, remembering every failure, carrying the weight of every rejection. Their body tenses, their voice cracks, and the timeline they feared collapses into reality. The other walks in light, present, unattached to yesterday, unconcerned with tomorrow. They speak from presence, respond with clarity, radiate ease. Opportunity bends toward them. Same room, same event, different outcome. Why? Because one was lost in time, and the other was anchored in the only moment that ever creates. Joe Dispenza reminds us, your brain and body don't know the difference between a memory, an imagination, or the present. When you relive the past, your body suffers it again. When you fear the future, your body collapses into survival as if it's happening now. But when you choose to anchor yourself in presence through breath, awareness, gratitude, you break free. You become the conscious observer collapsing reality with intention, not habit. The past is a mirror, not a prison. The future is a canvas, not a cage. And both dissolve into this instant, this inhale, this heartbeat. This is the mystical truth. All transformation, all manifestation, all awakening happens now. Not when you finally heal everything, not when life is perfect, but in this moment of collapse, where thought meets awareness and possibility becomes form. So pause. Notice your breath. This inhale is the bridge between infinite timelines. This exhale is the release of every ghost of the past. Here in this stillness, you are not your memories. You are not your fears. You are pure potential, waiting to collapse into form. Time will try to seduce you again. Your mind will wander into yesterday's regrets, tomorrow's doubts. But the more you return to now, the more you remember the truth. Creation does not happen later. It only ever happens here. And when you realize this, a great weight lifts. You stop waiting for the right conditions. You stop postponing your life. You awaken to the power you always carried, the ability to collapse possibility into form through presence. This is the moment of collapse. This is where everything begins, and it has always been here, waiting for you to choose it. What if the seeker was never separate from what they sought? What if the question and the answer were the same? You have spent your life believing you move through the field of reality, brushing against its surface, bending it here and there with your choices. But here is the final unveiling. You are not in the field. You are the field. The observer, the observed, and the act of observation are not three, they are one. The double-slit experiment revealed that reality waits for the gaze of consciousness to decide what it will become. But have you noticed? It is your gaze, your awareness, collapsing the wave into particle, possibility into form. Without you, there is no out there. Without you, the universe cannot look at itself. This is why mystics whisper, "I am that." Not because it is poetry, but because it is physics. Every frequency you emit is not radiating into an indifferent void. It is radiating into yourself. Every thought, every feeling, every belief is not traveling outward into some distant universe. It is reverberating within the only field that exists, the one you are. Think of it this way. When you speak to another person, you think you are speaking to them. Yet what you are really encountering is your own vibration mirrored back through their response. One person radiates kindness, and the world softens. Another radiates hostility, and the world hardens. The other was always you, wearing a different face. This is why two people can live in the same city, work in the same building, even walk the same streets, and yet inhabit entirely different realities. One lives in scarcity, seeing only lack, betrayal, and threat. The other lives in abundance, finding synchronicities, helpers, and opportunities at every turn. The city did not change, the building did not change. The field they carried within them determined the field they perceived outside them. Bob Proctor said, "You